Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and more are an example of cryptocurrencies. But wait, what is cryptocurrency or crypto, and how does it work? Back in the Stone Age, humans didn't have paper money to buy. They used to trade stuff, like I gave you something and you give me something in return. Humans evolved from trading stuff to using coins made of precious metal to actually using paper money that banks print. With the evolution of technology, digital and electronic payments appeared, such as credit cards and online banking. Here, your money is just numbers stored in the bank's database. But technology never stopped evolving, and now we have cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are simply digital currencies that operates on a decentralized system and is used by people to make purchases online and perform transactions. There is no central authority controlling it because it is decentralized. Transactions made are stored inside a ledger, which is distributed among everyone that is connected to the same network. Think of these transactions as spreadsheets recording who bought this from who, and each transaction is recorded inside a block, and there is multiple transactions that can happen on a single network, so these blocks are stored together inside a ledger. If three persons establishes a connection together, they record their transactions on a ledger, and each one of them have a record or a copy of the transactions made during the session, meaning each one has a copy of the ledger. Moreover, data inside a ledger is immutable. It is hard to modify it, especially if hackers intervene in the connection. For example, a hacker compromises a computer that is inside the network and was able to modify the content of the ledger, like the transactions and balances. The network is able to detect suspicious activity. Why? Because let us say out of 10 nodes or computers connected, one node has a different ledger than the other 9 nodes. But remember, tampering the data inside a ledger is extremely difficult due to factors like cryptography. And here we can determine why the word cryptocurrency. This is because they are backed up by cryptography. We said that a ledger records transactions, right? While the term ledger is just a broader term that refers to recording transactions of a network. But there's a type of ledger that some cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin uses, and it is called blockchain. When we say blockchain, it is not a cryptocurrency. It's a type of ledger, but it's not just any ledger, it is a secured ledger. Blockchain records everything inside blocks that are connected to each other, which eventually forms the so-called blockchain. If David sends 1 Bitcoin to John, the transaction is recorded inside a block, where it specifies the transaction details, like how much Bitcoin each one had and how much Bitcoin each one have after the transaction. If further transactions occurred, more blocks will be added, which they form a blockchain. There's definitely more elements that are recorded, but the most important one is the hash number. Just before we move on, I want you to know that each block contains a hash value and the hash value of the previous block. Just keep this idea in your head and you'll see why. A hash value is a string of characters that is generated using an algorithm providing it input data. But what is the input data? Well, the data can be how many Bitcoin each one had before and after the transaction. So instead of appearing in plain text, they will be converted to hash values. This is just a small example. All the elements inside the block will be converted to a sequence of random characters that cannot be or even impossible to decrypt. This is all because of SHA-256 or secure hashing algorithm. SHA-256 is a cryptographic hash function that takes an input and produces an output of 256 bits or 32 bytes. If you give this function the same input every time, it produces the same output. However, if you change one piece of data, the hash will change completely. But what is cool about it is that from the hash value, you cannot determine the original value, like you cannot reverse it. SHA-256 is very secure and widely used like Bitcoin uses it, and each block in the Bitcoin blockchain is secured with SHA-256. Why was I trying to emphasize about hashing? Basically, each block has its own hash value and the hash value of the previous one. That means if by any chance a hacker tampered the data inside a certain block, the hash value will change. But if you compare the hash value of this block with the other block that records its original hash value, you can see that there's something wrong and the data was modified. Now you get the idea that cryptocurrencies are decentralized. That means the central authorities do not control it. Instead, a blockchain network is established between multiple nodes that can be anywhere in the world, enabling them to perform transactions, and each transaction is recorded inside a block, and that block is secured using a cryptographic function called SHA-256. Each block has its own hashing value and the hash value of the previous one, and the series of blocks connected to each other forms the blockchain. I've basically only mentioned Bitcoin, but there is a lot more. There is actually 26,000 cryptocurrencies publicly traded, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Litecoin, and much more. We also talked how they are evolutionary, but never mentioned the side effects. Cryptocurrencies are fairly new to the world, and some people are concerned about cryptocurrencies being so volatile. That means their prices fluctuate dramatically over short periods of time. That can lead to either gains or losses to investors. Also, cryptocurrencies are not used by all countries in the world. Same goes for companies, like for example AMC uses crypto for movie tickets and AT&T uses crypto for online bills, but not all companies rely on cryptocurrencies. Crypto also has environmental concerns. Some cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin requires energy-intensive mining. This has raised concerns of people due to high energy consumption. Cryptocurrencies are revolutionizing the world. These digital assets offer people a way of purchasing online in a secure and convenient way. However, it is essential to acknowledge the associated risks cryptocurrencies show, like regulatory developments and market volatility. However, the development of blockchain technologies is an ongoing process, and each day this technology is evolving. Tell me down in the comments, do you support crypto? Do you think it's a good idea, or should we just stick with paper money or gold and silver? Thank you for watching. I hope this video offered some value. Please make sure to subscribe and follow for more content. I also invite you to click on one of these end screens that will appear right now. So I hope to see you in one of them.